Hi there, welcome to Tarotland Soap Opera. Today I'm going to do a reading for Aquarius energy. And like usual on this channel, we're going to do 2 rows. The top row is going to be what I refer to as high vibrational Aquarius energy, and the bottom row a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy. We all have to make decisions in our life and our free will, and we can struggle within ourselves to make those decisions. We can be, the bottom row can just represent we'd like to stay in our comfort zone. Then we don't have to do things any differently. And so some people might be struggling with that. But at any time in life, some people are moving forward. Some people are in a pattern and they could be happy with that pattern. We all repeat certain patterns until something about it, kind of like we've learned everything we needed to learn there, and then we're kind of ready to face our fears to move forward. But some people never face their fears to move forward in life differently. Like if they'd like to go get a new job, they never go get a new job. If they'd like to go try new things, they never go try new things, So we're going to read it from a couple different perspectives. Aquarius energy has to do with our perspective, how we view life. If we're more caught up in ourself or the world, if we do look at life from a higher perspective, can keep things in perspective so we don't get all caught up in our head. What is our dream? What's our dream life? Everybody has their idea of the dream life. For some people, it's to be all about themselves, to indulge in things of the world, make those things of the world more important. Other people, love is what drives and motivates them. And we just need to see the truth of the different types of people we're dealing with. So let's go look at the bottom row first. The reason for the bottom row's reading is the snake, which is Scorpio energy, which is enemy, deceit, cheating, jealousy, envy, loss, treachery, setback, temptation. We have a lot of lessons to learn. The snake kind of reminds me of the Seven of Swords, which is Aquarius energy. Also, and Scorpio is emotional water sign energy. Emotionally, there are all these things of the world that we want to go pursue. And these things that we want in our life. We'd like to be in friendships and relationships. And some people want to get married and have children. And, we want to be maybe victorious in our career. And, for the first 30, 40 years of our life, that can really drive the decisions that we make in our life. So we have the the Sith card, which kind of looks like the Death card in Libra, which is also Scorpio energy. This particular deck, though, does refer to it as Libra. And again, emotionally, what are we attached to and what do we think is just and fair? Libra is represented by the scales of justice. And we'll all live life the way that we think is just and fair based on how like our emotional maturity level. You view live life as an 18-year-old is different than maybe how you live it as a 35-year-old. But when we lived our life that way, we thought it was just and fair because that's how we viewed life. Then we have the Death card, which also is Scorpio energy. So a lot of Scorpio energy. Let's see. This card, though, also references Leo, and high vibe Leo energy is being more authentically ourself and making that free will choice to align with our more hopeful, believing, loving nature. And that all takes learning lessons in life. And so initially we kind of might operate, shadowy Leo is operating a little more from our ego, our defensive nature, caught up in these things of the world. And so for a long time in our life, we're making our life about all these things of the world that we want to manifest. Lilith, Scorpio energy again, wow. Sensual, powerful, female, wild, untamed, passion, independence, mystery. So yeah, Scorpio is about the mysteries of life. And a lot of the Scorpio cards are dark energy cards, but high vibe Scorpio is wanting to explore the mysteries of life. And as we learn these lessons and we realize kind of how so our ego and our worldly nature and our fearful nature and our more codependent nature and our lustful, greedy, immature, lazy nature and all those things can kind of manipulate us. It's kind of learning those lessons. And then as we do learn those lessons, the coffin or the Death card can talk about As we learn lessons and we kind of learn again how our own shadowy nature, immature nature, prideful nature, defensive nature manipulates us. And then we're dealing with other people who've got their own fears and insecurities and how those things manipulate them. We're kind of learning and starting to understand these hidden emotional issues that affect people and the decisions that they make in their life. And then the key, which is Leo energy. So, hopefully as we go through these phases of life and we kind of learn all these different lessons, hopefully we become illuminated to the truth about what can deceive and manipulate us. And with Scorpio being fixed sign energy and Leo is fixed sign energy, fixed sign energy can be the traits and characteristics that we kind of tap into when we're putting work and effort into a situation, like a job or a romantic relationship. And it can be hard to transition out of it. And that's why we can want to keep staying in our comfort zone, because we kind of, for one, the reason for the top rose reading is the main male, and the masculine energy can just be where in high vibe, we really would be taking action in the world. When we go take action in the world and we go present ourselves in the world, it's considered masculine energy, and we can all present ourselves in the world any way we want. But how do we really think and feel? And, it is this process of becoming, so that how we present ourselves in the world is a true reflection of how we really feel. But for a large part of our life, we might not have worked through these issues that manipulate us. Other people haven't worked through these issues that manipulate them. So then we can have a lot of people presenting themselves in the world as harnessing a more high vibrational Aquarius energy, but they don't. They could have their own ideas of what they think is just and fair that other people maybe come to realize, and they could end relationships with them because what you think is just and fair in your Libra energy is different than what I think is just and fair in my Libra energy. And that was, something we needed to learn in life. And again, we come in contact with all these different people in the world to help us get high vibe Leo, also represented by the sun, kind of get more clear about what drives and motivates us, what drives and motivates other people. Are they in high vibe Leo energy, being more authentic? Are they kind of trying to manipulate people? Are they operating more from their ego nature, their defensive nature? Are they being truthful and honest? Are they being deceptive? A more shadowy Scorpio energy could just be where some people feel more balanced within themselves to not really connect in with their emotions that deeply, because we are emotionally complex human beings and it's complex. And some people could have decided in their Libra energy, I don't really want to explore myself emotionally or get too involved in my emotional nature, because it is confusing. And shadowy energy can be that maybe I do prefer to live more from my mind than my heart. Libra is air sign energy. Some of you could have been dealing with the Libra, but anybody can decide, I think it's just and fair. I find it kind of confusing. I might not want to explore the mysteries of life. I also look at high vibe Scorpio is willing to do the roller coaster of life. Everything I go pursue, I am this emotionally complex person. I want to explore all these emotions and love. And other people could say, no, I don't want to do that. I'm going to kind of be more defensive to that. Maybe keep that aspect of myself kind of buried beneath the surface. I don't want all that emotional confusion, or just to learn to even work with my emotions on a more deep emotional level, or to work through them. They're confusing. I just don't want to do it. And then they choose to operate more from their ego, kind of more defensiveness, and then maybe are a little bit more emotionally shallow and superficial in a relationship. And that's what makes them feel, this is just and fair. This makes me feel stable. This is how I want to live my life. And, it's kind of like, that's their free will choice. A snake would be a cold-blooded animal. So, just not really willing to do this work it takes to work through all those things that manipulate us, to free ourselves from those things. Because high vibe energy is about freeing yourself. Shadowy energy is all the things that can manipulate us. And some people don't like that their fear and their insecurity and their emotional confusion and their mind and their fear manipulates them. So other people decide, when things happen in my life, relationships don't work out the way I want. Some people could have been deceptive, manipulative, hurtful, unkind. I still have hope and faith and belief in my dreams, and I'm not going to let other people who might be in some shadowy energy, fearful energy, manipulative, egotistical, self-centered, whatever they are. I'm more caught up in the world. I'm not going to let those people stop me from believing in my dreams. I just realized that our truth is different, and what we think is just and fair is different, and the way they're going to go about living their life and what motivates and inspires them and their dreams and their idea of the dream relationship is different than mine. And life is a mystery, and it is about learning about all these things that kind of drive and motivate people. And I am going to, in high vibe Leo, again represented by the sun, which in high vibe is life-giving energy, I'm going to give myself the things that I wish other people would have given me to love myself, and take the lesson I learned from that life experience, add it into how I understand life, the mysteries of life, and then I don't want to repeat that pattern again. If I've learned that, when someone shows me they have these shadowy traits and characteristics, I get in relationships, I act in ways that show me I need to heal or grow or mature, I'm going to offer love to the situation, to see the truth of it, not stay in denial, see where I need to heal, grow, and mature, see where other people need to heal and grow, and mature, see what drives and motivates me. I'm motivated to kind of grow and mature and heal myself. And if other people aren't, I wish them peace. They can live their life the way they want. I've just seen the truth that we're not really on the same page. And then it's kind of like shedding an old layer of yourself. I used to view life the way I viewed life and lived life like I did when I was 18. I've lived that. I kind of explored being an 18-year-old. I thought it was just and fair, but I maybe did have these things that manipulated me, and during that course, I became illuminated to things I do like, things I don't like, where I need to heal and grow and mature myself. And I am going to shed an old layer of myself, and then you move forward in life more like a 21-year-old. So kind of like my nesting dolls over there. It's Scorpio represented by the Death card is about how we change and transform over time if we're willing to see the truth. Get out of our ego, get out of our defensiveness, get out of our fear, get out of our more immature, codependent ways of being, and we're willing to choose love. And it's time for me to shed an old layer of myself, because if I don't, it's gonna keep me kind of stuck and stagnant from exploring the mysteries of life, and I might be tempted to stay in my comfort zone and keep in the same job, friendship, or romantic relationship, more out of ego and fear. And I don't like those things manipulating me. So high vibe people do this work within themselves to emotionally work through. And Aquarius, again, is also represented by the Seven of Swords, which is kind of what the snake reminds me of also, of how we deceive ourselves about these things we didn't understand, maybe about how we didn't listen to our intuition. You know, our intuition was given to us as a gift to help navigate this world because people can present themselves, male or female, as having these certain ways of being or living life, but that's really not the truth of who they are. And when we're illuminated to the truth, are we willing to get out of denial about the truth and stand up for ourselves and what we believe in? And are we willing to get out of our ego and admit, I made mistakes? Again, about our intuition, we can sometimes get in situations and our intuition was kind of screaming at us, I don't think you should do that. This is not a good idea. We should leave, go home now. But, you know, we got these lessons to learn. There's these things that we're attracted to that we want to go indulge in. We're sure is just and fair or it'll work out the way we want. And then it doesn't work out the way we wanted. Are we willing to admit I had lessons to learn? I maybe didn't listen to my intuition. I have lessons to learn about my more impulsive, immature, prideful, egotistical, lustful, greedy, want reward without effort, didn't think I needed to heal and grow and mature myself, thought I could keep repeating this old pattern. Am I willing to admit I was a fallible human being and there are some things I need to let go of and ways of being? And then because we're a human being, we have free will to choose to listen to our intuition, which was given to us as a gift. Kind of like bats have sonar. Bats don't question if they should use it or not to navigate in the dark. They use it. But we as human beings have free will. No, I'm going to ignore you. I'm going to go do this. And we're probably kind of deceiving ourselves because I think our intuition is given to us like as a gift. It's like our sixth sense, our gut, that knows this is not probably aligned with my truth. These people that I might be hanging out with don't maybe have my best intentions. Some of these people, what drives them, motivates them, my gut is telling me is not love. It could be lust, it could be greed, it could be pride, it could be ego. But we don't want to see it for our own reasons. And then we learn these difficult lessons that it didn't work out the way we wanted. Are we willing to see the truth, give ourselves the things we wish other people would have given us to heal and grow and mature ourselves so we can move forward in life differently? And there's some people in life who will never do that. They have some old ways of being that they would benefit from letting go of, but they have free will. And if they're like, no, that would require me maybe to speak the truth, illuminate the truth, acknowledge a truth, see what I need to detach from within myself, see the truth about some other people in my life, and we have the free will choice to stay in denial or keep taking action more out of pride and ego. I don't have to change. I don't see that truth about them. I'm going to stay in a relationship with them anyway. I'm going to keep living my life like that anyway. You know, so, and then some people just have more lessons to learn than some other people. We can get in relationships with people and we've kind of maybe learned how to be more, Libra talks about being more just and fair, maybe better able to maintain balance within ourselves, and then in our Aquarius energy, not get caught tipped up in our head and our fear and our defensiveness and our fears that people are hiding things from us. In Scorpio energy, you know, some people go with the flow and they've learned to listen to love and intuition to guide them in their relationships, and other people haven't learned to be able to do that, to offer love and compassion and forgiveness to themselves, to stay more balanced within themselves. And they could get really afraid that other people are being deceptive and manipulative, that just not trusting other people. And so then they could kind of, shadowy Scorpio that anyone can harness, can be like, well, I want to know more about what you're doing. You being a loving or a just and fair or encouraging person in my life, and my intuition could tell me that's the truth of who you are, but I have this fear of people or trusting people. So then shadowy Scorpio can be people that act like a private detective in a relationship, you know? And it's kind of just not willing to maybe be more confident within themselves, have a little fear about trusting other people, being able to keep things in perspective. And then there's some people who they know they're being deceptive and manipulative. They know sometimes going into a relationship that they know they don't really aren't more authentically themselves and vulnerable in a relationship to do love and do a high vibe Scorpio relationship of a deep, meaningful relationship. Some people already know that that's the type of person. I don't go there. I like to stay in my ego, my defensive nature. I use my charm, my words, my emotions, my sexuality, and all these things to try to get people to get in a relationship with me. And I'm hoping that they will let me stay in my more defensive nature, not really being more authentically myself, not and realizing eventually that they can't really have a more deep, authentic relationship with them because they don't let that aspect of themselves out to play in the world. And they've already decided this is how they want to live their life. They've put an end to their more high vibe Scorpio energy. Nope. I'm going to operate more from my ego. Well, they know they're if they're trying to get in relationships with more nurturing, loving, warm people, because it's great to be in relationships with people like that, but they know that's not the truth of who they are. Well, they know they're being deceptive and manipulative. And so then I think sometimes those people sabotage the relationship with more loving, authentic people, either because this is kind of getting me in the danger zone. I could really get hurt here. I need to end this relationship because it's, if they haven't done this work within themselves to believe they can pick themselves up if things don't work out, they just don't let, if people, it's like you're the devil and you're the danger zone that they have to keep away from because you tempt them to let their more authentic, vulnerable, loving nature out to play in the world. And for some people, I am not doing that. Or you make me believe in love, and that's not what I want to make my life about. I like feeling like I'm controlling things, or that what's more important to me is these things of the world, and you want to do love, but I'm really more about looking like a shining star in the world, and that's the most important thing. But I think people who know that they're deceptive in a relationship, they're not being truthful and authentic, those people, if you know you're being deceitful, you kind of wonder if other people are being deceitful. And then because of them not being deceitful, they can end up sabotaging relationships with people that they could move forward with. But because they get so caught up in their head and their fear and distrust of people and haven't worked through those issues that manipulate them, other people see the truth and other people end up leaving a relationship with them. Even if they don't do something, say, hurtful or unkind, it's just like you're just not willing to be more open or more authentic, or you have all these things that kind of manipulate you, and those kind of things don't manipulate me because I've already worked through those things. And I'm looking to be in relationships with people who are more on the same page as me. And we can know all sorts of people in the world. We can work with all sorts of people in the world. We can have all sorts of different types of people, even in our own family group. Can we wish everyone peace and, you do you, you're living life where you're at, I'm living life where I'm at? Yeah. It's more of a problem if it's like a close friend or a romantic relationship. And then it really is difficult to work through when some people and we can be in relationships with people for a long time until we kind of get down to kind of seeing more of the truth of what drives and motivates them. And because we have all these things to negotiate in a relationship, in tarot, we complete cycles, the Ten of Cups, the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Swords, the Ten of Wands. Sometimes it takes until that very last one, that last truth, that last thing that we love, that last, you know, to be able to move the relationship forward one more time. Because we can go through many cycles with people and we're learning these lessons. And with a lot of the lessons, people are kind of willing to work through those things and work through their fears or their insecurities or whatever to keep moving forward. And you move forward and then you go through another level of cooperating with each other and learning lessons about each other as you grow and are getting older in life. But eventually, the last issue could be kind of, it requires that last truth to be let go of. And it really can be at a core foundational level what really drives and motivates us in the world. Or are we more about ourself? Are we willing to be more authentic and do love? And then that can be kind of like the final straw sometimes in a long-term friendship or relationship. Up here we have the ending card, which again is like the Scorpio death card. Are we willing, it gets to a point, are we willing to listen to kind of high vibe Leo, represented by the sun, life-giving energy, which is love, and really do a more deep, authentic, loving relationship, having hope and faith and love, where you let love and intuition guide you? And that's where somebody could be like, you know, I was willing to do all the other things we had to compromise and as we were going through life together, but not that. That I just can't work through the confusion I have about maybe just being more authentically myself. And that's a process of becoming also. So, or kind of realizing where we maybe hadn't wanted to see it for a long time in a relationship, that maybe we kind of never saw that someone was a bit more about them. So long as it worked for them and they maybe benefited in some way and it really wasn't about authentically really emotionally investing in the relationship, so long as it benefited them, they would stay in it. But then when it's like, well, now I don't really benefit the way I did before, or you have healed, or you've changed, and you're not the same person you were before, because again, the death card talks about transformation. You know, you've kind of changed in a way that maybe, you know, we had a lot of Scorpio down here, and we had the Justice card. We all kind of have our more masculine nature and our more emotionally intuitive, creative nature. Maybe you just got more balance within yourself. And maybe when you got in a relationship, you were more driven and motivated by your loving nature and kind of could have indulged kind of people in their poor behavior. Or you had to learn to love yourself. And then as time goes by in life, you learn to quit indulging people in poor behavior, because love is supposed to be just and fair. People are supposed to treat other people the way they like to be treated. They are supposed to be being authentic and not trying to confuse people about the truth of who they are, trying to shadowy Leo manipulate someone to try to get them to do what they want. But we all have these lessons to learn, and a lot of times we don't want to see the truth about some people. And for others, you know, we had these lessons to learn, they had these lessons to learn, we were going through life. But when you kind of get more balanced within yourself, kind of maybe letting your more emotional nature or your worldly egoic nature or codependent nature run your life, and you're more balanced, then some people don't want to be in a relationship with you anymore because, oops, got an alarm on my phone. Just because you're not the same person you were, the whole kind of relationship dynamic has changed, and in order for them to move forward with you, maybe they would have to get more balance within themselves. And that can just be not how they view life. They could still be indulging poor behavior in themselves or other people in their life. And things within them and other people in their life kind of manipulate them, and they're not willing to see the truth of it. And when you are willing to kind of stand up for yourself and be more independent, I do not like things manipulating me. I want people who are just and fair and stable and grounded and authentic. And then we have the hammer card, the fire sign. You know, I just heard somebody say the other day how fire is the one, you know, in tarot we talk about the four elements, our emotional nature, our heart, our mind, our thoughts, our thinking, our creative, fiery, passionate nature, and then our worldly nature. That fire is the only one that can transmute or change the other elements. Fire can make water boil. Fire can melt gold and turn it into a liquid, you know? And also, when we're younger, we could be more caught up, more fired up about these things of the world. But during the course of time, and the truth sets us free, in a regular tarot deck, Scorpio is holding a sword of truth. And swords are made in fire and to sharpen and hone them, you know, and transform them. And over time, our truth transforms. Again, we were 18. The way we viewed life and what we thought was just and fair and what we wanted to indulge in and make our life about was different at age 25. And I think that process is supposed to happen throughout our life, but there's some people that wasn't their idea of the dream life. We all might do those things when we're younger, maybe more out of peer pressure, but we had to go get a job. We had to go learn to live on our own. We maybe had to learn how to drive, you know, all these different things. But some people thought, boy, as soon as I'm done with that stage of life, you know, I'm going to get a job and I'm going to get in a relationship. And then kind of maybe whatever, that's their truth. And they don't ever want to live life any differently. They have a way of viewing life, whatever ways of being and viewing life is how they just don't like to let go of anything or look at those things to work through any of it. I just don't care to. I'm just going to keep living life the way I live it. Well, then they could have a hard time finding other people because fixed sign energy, like I mentioned, of Scorpio and Leo, and Aquarius, right? Let me see. Yeah, and Aquarius. Some people could have a lot of fixed sign placements in their life, in their astrology chart, or it's just the type of person they are. You know, as human beings, we're all afraid of change. That can be painful, right? I have to make some decisions in my life. And the Seven of Swords is holding the Five Swords. Like I have this dream in my Aquarius energy, but in the Two of Swords, which is Libra energy, I can't decide, you know, there comes a point in our life that some people pick a path in their dualistic nature. I choose hope and faith and belief and love. Other people are like, I choose more about myself or the world. And other people are like, I kind of like both, and I like to go back and forth, and I don't like to have to make a decision, you know? And that can be a trait of some people in their Libra energy. They just can't make a decision, not willing to work through the things that confuse them to speak their truth and stand up for what they believe in, because Libra energy can be like our wanting to get along with everyone and wanting everybody to like us and kind of our public politician persona. And I don't want to upset anyone. And, well, they're kind of not living their more authentic life. It can be a people pleaser. And they kind of maybe don't see how it stops them from living their more authentic life. And then some people, their more authentic life is, I do want to deceive and manipulate people to get them to do what I want. And I think that's just unfair. You know? To each their own. High vibe people were willing to do the hard work to transform themselves. Realize what needed to go, what needed to change. And the Tower card, I am willing to detach from an old way of living life, viewing life, a way of treating myself, a way of treating others, whatever it is that I see the truth of that needs to be let go of. And they're willing to let go of those things. And then it can be, this trumpet card also says fire sign energy. The things that used to drive and motivate me, I'm letting go of those things because of these lessons I've learned of how it didn't work out the way I wanted, and I'm willing to deal with the truth of it. Things need to change. I need to change things within myself. I see the truth about where some other people could have some traits and characteristics that aren't in alignment with my truth. And then this card here, it's an emotional figure. So some people, shadowy energy, the masculine energy, doesn't mean you're dealing with a man, but it can be people who operate more from their ego nature. And some people have got more balance within themselves. Yes, I want these things of the world. In my worldly egoic nature, I want these things of the world. But emotionally, I am willing, with the trumpet, to hold myself accountable for my actions and see where I need to grow and heal and mature myself. And I see where other people need to heal and grow and mature themselves. And if I see that the way what they think is just and fair and their idea of the dream life is different than my idea of the dream life, well, then we have different dreams. What drives and motivates us is different. And judge away, world, but I'm not going to stay living my life to appease other people. In truth and love, I have offered love and truth and encouragement to the people in my life to move forward with me. But it has to be authentically just and fair. Other people have to treat other people the way they like to be treated. Other people have to be flexible and be willing to change. Other people have to be willing to see the truth of some things in the foundation of themselves and things that manipulate them, to see the truth of how it manipulates them, that stops them from maybe being more balanced in their emotionally intuitive loving nature and their worldly egoic nature, and it kind of keeps them tipped out of balance. And then they're kind of driving their life into the ditch a little bit, and they want me to go with them, and I'm not going to go with them into the ditch. I'm going to maintain balance within myself out of love for myself, stand up for my own view of life, my dreams, my loving nature. If I have detached from my more, shadow, Leo is about tempering your more worldly, egoic, beastly nature. If I'm not trying to manipulate other people and control other people, being intimidating or controlling, being deceptive and manipulative, I want to be in relationships with other people who have let go of those ways of being and hold themselves accountable to a higher standard. I have learned this doesn't work out well in a relationship for me to be more about myself or bossy or controlling or all about me or thinking it should be all about me, and that, there's people who indulge themselves in their poor behavior. They could have had other people in their life who keep indulging them in their poor behavior, and they're looking for more people to indulge them in their poor behavior. Or hoping to get someone in a new beginning relationship, hoping that even when that person sees the truth, that then because of the ego and the image and the status and what would people say, that they'll stay in it anyway. And that would be like a shadowy person, male or female, kind of trapping a more emotionally mature, authentic, loving person in a relationship with them. That's a deception, an illusion. It's unjust, it's unfair. But everybody could try to manipulate people with these things of the world. What would people say? Well, whatever. And other people are like, you know what? I'm inspired by a higher truth and justice. And my soul tells me, and I know this is unjust, this is unfair. You're not who you said you were. You're not willing to grow, heal, or mature. You have these ways of being and things that manipulate you that you don't want to see the truth of. I wish you peace, but I'm letting go, and I'm going to stand in my truth. And you can live your life the way you want. But I'm going to go find other people in the world who I think, now that I've learned these lessons about things that were hidden in the dark, I'm not as naive and gullible as I was before. Maybe not. This whole thing could have been a catalyst to make me deal with my own issues, to get less codependent. You know, with the four elements, we all can kind of drive our life off into the ditch. Oh, I love them. And that becomes the primary factor in our life. The other aspects of our life kind of go in the toilet. Oh, if a person made their life more about money and materialism, well, then the other aspects of their life go in the toilet. It's not very maybe just or fair or loving, but it's all about the money or the status, or I want to indulge in my ego and my lust and my greed. Well, that's not love. That's not just and fair. And it's learning these lessons and being willing to hold yourself accountable that all of these aspects of myself are equally important. And I need to maintain balance within myself. I am a loving person, but I'm not going to indulge people who aren't being authentic and loving or seem tipped out of balance. They might present themselves, and as I'm moving forward, I'm going to meet all sorts of people in the world. Some people just want to be the next person to indulge in a relationship with me. Well, fire sign energy can be I get to know people to find out the truth of their foundation. The tower is about revealing the truth of someone's foundation. I'm going to get to know people to find out the truth of their foundation, maybe before I more emotionally invest in them. I can have a way of working with people that's like a balanced way. I'm kind, compassionate, encouraging, all that stuff with all sorts of people in the world. But who am I going to more emotionally invest in? It has to be someone who I think is in this kind of balanced energy between thinking it should be more about them, or and are willing to let their more emotional, intuitive nature equally as important as their being about themselves or these things of the world. And if they're not in that energy, then I let them go. And I could be sad because they could be some people that, yeah, I wanted to pursue that. But if my intuition tells me I'd be repeating an old pattern, I've already been there and done that. And I don't want to repeat that old pattern. So I'm going to keep dealing with the truth, not be tempted in my lust and my greed and my codependent nature or whatever. If I keep investing my time, energy, and effort into people who've already shown me that's not their truth, and my intuition is telling me some of the people in my life, they're not that type of person, they stay in the friend zone. I want to be available for when the people who are more on the same page as me are available. There could be some people right now that got themselves in some relationships, maybe have kind of seen the truth that this isn't quite aligned with their truth, but are they willing to reveal the truth and stand up for themselves? Judge away, world. I'm not going to live a life of illusion and deception, and I'm willing to admit where I had lessons to learn. I don't have to slam and tear down other people. It just wasn't aligned with my truth. And if I was kind of more immature or codependent, high vibe energy isn't operating from their ego. I could have been more codependent. I could have been more immature. I could have been more caught up in these things of the world. And I've learned, I thought those things would make me happy, and I realized they don't. Or not, realizing it really, I have to be more balanced within myself, and I need to be more balanced with other people, and I need to be in a relationship with people who are more balanced, and I need to be willing to stand up for myself and what I believe in. And maybe before I wasn't, maybe I did indulge people, maybe other people were able to manipulate and deceive me because I love them. Well, no more. It has to be truthful and honest and just and fair and authentic, and people treating, and maybe before repeating an old pattern where I wasn't willing to stand up for myself. Love was the driving factor in my life. Well, now I've learned I can love people and I want to keep my distance from them, whether they're friends or family members. If you're being kind of intimidating, controlling, manipulative, more about yourself, deceptive, I'm going to go live my life and go find, I can again have lots of acquaintances and wish people well, but am I going to keep pursuing more in the relationship? No. What's coming up for some people who harness some high vibe and then letting go of something that we thought was a victory because we've worked through the emotional confusion of it? Was there some good aspects about it? Could there have been love there? Yeah, but if we're really not on the same page, you're ready to move forward in this new way, and some people are still wanting to repeat an old pattern. It's like, I can't live my life like that anymore. What's coming up for people who harness some high vibe Aquarius energy that they might not see coming? There's going to be people in your life that would be like shadowy Scorpio. Some people go scorched earth on people. If you're not willing to indulge me in my kind of poor behavior or whatever, I'm going to try to stop people, to put an end to people seeing you as a loving, authentic, warm person. Maybe to try to tear you down so you don't keep loving and believing in yourself. Get up in your head. You are confused. Hopefully you'll drive your life off into the ditch, and then they can look like they're this just and fair and stable, grounded, loving person. But it's not the truth of who they are. Just hoping that if they do hurtful, unkind things, are deceptive, are manipulative, lie about you, that will hurt you so bad because they know you love them, that it'll make you go in this shadowy energy. And then it's kind of like taking your place and stealing your energy. And for some of you that didn't do that, and you're still moving forward, working through the emotional confusion of people in your life who thought they wrote the story of your life, and you said, no, I write the story of my life. People can throw me under the bus and kick me to the curb, and I pick myself back up again. Because you're doing that is kind of like a tower moment for them. Shadowy energy is people who are trying to basically steal from you. I don't want to put in the work and effort to heal and grow and mature myself. But if I can make myself feel better or boost my ego or make me feel like I'm more powerful than you, look at the impact I had on your life acting in these shadowy ways, it's this boost to their ego where they feel powerful, but it's not a true sense of empowerment because it wasn't based on something truthful and honest, and where they put in work and effort to heal and grow and mature themselves. It's just by hurting someone else, and then, oh look, by comparison, they drove their life off into the ditch. I'm the more stable, grounded, loving person. And so, as some of you are moving forward in life, it's a tower moment for them. And the people who thought they could put an end to a loving person and that they would hurt them enough that they drive their life off into the ditch and they would look like the victor or the winner, because that's how they view life. Because you offered, high vibe energy offers love to the situation to heal, and you're moving forward victoriously in a balanced, stable way. You've changed. You're not the same person you were before. You are taking action in a more balanced, just, fair, stable, inspiring way, motivated by love. Some people who thought they were going to get justice by acting in this way, they realize that's not going to happen. And so then they're going to have to go about it some other way. Like, well, I know, maybe I'll go get in a relationship with someone who experienced an ending in their life. And so that would kind of be, I'll go try to find another high vibe person. Because if I go get in a relationship with a high vibe person, it makes me look like I've changed, I've grown, I've matured, that I'm different than I was before, but they're not. And try to deceive and manipulate someone else. And then over time put in work trying to make that person not love and believe in themselves, settle for less than they deserve, tempt them in their worldly nature. And if those people do, then they're trying to create an illusion that they've moved on just like some other high vibe people in the world, but they're still not high vibe. What's coming up for the high vibe people? You have a new beginning. Why? Because you learned the lesson that you're meant to learn from that life experience. And you incorporated that lesson into how you make decision making from now on. How did you do that? The Aquarius star card. Aquarius energy, you looked at life from the bigger picture, you kept things in perspective, you had hope and faith and belief in yourself, in your dreams, and high vibe Aquarius energy is about healing. You invested in all of those things. That's what you invested your time and energy into. That's why you get to move to the next phase of life. If you were to look at life as a video game where you have to overcome obstacles and challenges to authentically go to the next level of life, I am ready to face my fears on this new level. Other people try to present themselves as being on the same level of life as you, that they've learned some of the lessons that you've learned, but they haven't. They're just trying to deceive and manipulate people into thinking they have, but you really did. And then other people kind of listen to their intuition and seeing how people are living their life, seeing who seems to be being deceitful and manipulative, who seems to, instead of doing this work within themselves, work together just with others to try to create an illusion about themselves. Like, again, I went and got a new job. Look, I'm not the same person I was at that last job. It's like, we'll see. Oh, look, I'm not the same person I was in the last relationship, and I've healed and grown and matured. Look, these people wouldn't be friends with me or date me if I were that type of person. No, some people wear a very good false mask. And in Aquarius energy and Leo energy and Libra energy, by worldly standards, people could look like they really have kind of justice in the world, that they're victorious and successful in their own way, and could be attractive, charming, public politician persona. And by worldly standards, they do look. But, we need to listen to our intuition about the foundation, what supports it. Ego and truth and love and lessons learned, or just an illusion, no substance. So I think you're going to have new beginnings that are in alignment with your truth and your dreams. And I think, when we work with the divine, life-giving energy, love, the highest energy of all, that's when we can create miracles in the world. This is Michelangelo's part of the picture on top of the Sistine Chapel, where when God and man unite, that's when we can create miracles. But we can reject that, and we can align with just thinking we know best, living more from our pride comes before the fall. No, don't want to listen to my intuition. No, don't have hope and faith and belief in love. I think I know best. I am not going to listen to my intuition and be illuminated to the truth. I think I know best. And then we get deceived. We're meant to be enlightened to the truth. We have free will. We can live our life any way we want. High vibe energy wants us to have our dreams come into reality, but if we refuse to get out of our pride and ego and keep not listening to our intuition and the truth, thinking, no, I can make this work, I got a plan, it's probably not going to work out the way they want. So what is coming up for some people who harness a more worldly, shadowy Aquarius energy that they might not see coming? The Seven of Cups and the Eight of Swords. Why? Because of the Ace of Cups. They emotionally invested getting caught up in the illusion, and also thinking they could emotionally confuse other people about the truth. I'll invest in people to create an illusion, but they're just trying to cover up that they're in a mental prison. Again, there's 10 in every suit. This is the 8. It's those last 2 swords they can't get through to complete a cycle, to go authentically to the next level. What is just and fair? What isn't just and fair? Should I do love, or should I be defensive? Should I listen to my intuition, or listen to my mind or my fear or my insecurity or my defensiveness or my lust or my greed or my pride or my ego. And they just can't get past those last two swords. And it kind of maybe keeps them in a mental prison about love. Just can't decide if they want to love themselves enough to love others. And if they're not really willing to do love, then it's just creating an illusion. And then they get in other relationships and other people find out they are in a mental prison about love. And the other people are like, I need to be in relationships with people who have chosen to be bold and brave and confident, believing they can stand up for their loving nature. If it doesn't work out the way they want, they can learn the lessons from it, pick themselves back up, and keep moving forward victoriously. And maybe some people don't know if they could do that. And it does take practice. And for the people who keep never letting their more authentic nature out to play in the world, the less experience they even have at going kind of through some of that more authentic emotional heartbreak where you've really got to do this work within your own foundation of self to love and believe in yourself and stand up for yourself. And some of these people, they have the world or other people in their life. The Seven of Cups is also Scorpio energy. Other people in their life who live their life the way they live life, and they have love for those people probably, and they really could be afraid of just being more independent. Even they could be much older in life, but if they have like a friend group or their family that they really haven't done the work within themselves to love and believe in themselves, to feel like be able to give themselves the love and compassion and all those things to help them maintain balance and feel stable and grounded within themselves and know their worth and value. They could be people who really rely on other people to be that source for them, kind of like a child to a parent, but we can be in those more codependent relationships with our friends, our family, and the world at large. Will you validate my worth and value? Will you tell me I'm worthy? High vibe people have learned to do that within themselves. Between me and God, I have learned lessons in life, and I have learned to love and offer myself love, compassion, and forgiveness for the mistakes I've made. I've offered it to other people, and I choose love, and I treat other people the way I want to be treated. And I see when other people don't want to treat me that way, and I wish them peace, and I move on. Some people are in a mental prison because they're still trying to get people who maybe aren't being loving to them, to get those people to love them. No, I need you to love me. No, I need you to validate my worth and value. It's like, why? Maybe some of the people that some of these people are waiting for to love them, they're not seeing the truth about them. Why do we think certain people, like, no, it has to be them, like my dreams can't come into reality if they're not in my life? No, I have to be working with people who view life are on the same page as me. That's how my dream comes into reality. But again, some people could be more caught up in ego or image or to maintain an illusion that they created, a deception, and they really... And if they're in shadowy energy and they want to backstab and betray other people, it's like, oh my gosh, if I was in a relationship with that person, it would really bother those people. Isn't that wonderful? Isn't that a wonderful reason to get in a relationship? Well, I want you to get in a relationship with me because that would really bother them. Do I love you? No. Am I inspired by you? No. Do I view you as warm and loving? No. But I created this illusion, or because I want to deceive and manipulate someone else. Or because maybe you have these things of the world that would make me look victorious and successful, and I have a lot of fear of believing I can manifest those things myself, and you have them, so I'm really set on it has to be you that I'm in a relationship with. And I think if they keep doing this, they can have high vibe people in their life who kind of get caught up in the illusion, trying to offer them love to work through their fears and insecurities. But eventually the high vibe people realize the dream keeps not coming into reality. It keeps ending. And that's when high vibe people kind of see the truth. You know, I can love you, and I wish we could move forward to bring a dream into reality, but you're apparently in a mental prison about love, and I'm going to offer my love to myself to work through why I think it has to be you, because it apparently can't be you if you're not in this more high vibrational energy. Am I willing to see the truth of that? It doesn't have to be you. It can be other people in the world, people who are more on the same page as me. And I'm gonna wish you peace. You can keep staying there because that is where you keep staying. And I'm gonna wish you peace, and I'm gonna do this work within myself to emotionally detach and communicate with people in the world who I think are more on the same page as me, who aren't in a mental prison about love and deep, meaningful relationships, that are loving and just and fair, that I have love for. And these people, there's going to be other people who want to be in a relationship with them, and the people who probably stay in a relationship with them are people who could have their own fears about more deep, meaningful relationships, or have fear they can't manifest their dreams into reality, prefer to live more from their mind than their heart, kind of maybe are more about these things of the world that they like to indulge in or make their life about. And then that would be a just and fair relationship. But it's unjust for someone who knows they don't like to be more just or fair, that they kind of like to manipulate and control people, that they could be kind of bossy or controlling or shadowy or egotistical or self-centered or more indulgent or materialistically driven, to try to get someone who that's not their truth to try to trap them in a relationship with them. That's an injustice. And the high vibe people saw the truth of it, and they moved on. They're going to go have some new beginning in alignment with their dreams, because they were willing to take action to work through all these issues. And maybe some other people, it's confusing, they get up in their head, and then they just decide to go invest in something to make them feel better. You have to keep putting in the work to work through the problems. It takes work and effort to get to the truth. And some people aren't willing to. It's like, oh, screw it. I'm going to go do this instead to feel better. I'm sure that's the answer. And until they see that they keep not getting what they want, to realize it does take this work and effort in my foundation of myself emotionally. But you have to even be motivated and inspired to want to do that. And some people aren't. So there you go, Aquarius. I wish you peace, love, and joy, and we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.